Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Unacademy, India's largest online learning portal for the preparation of competitive exams. My name is Neelam, and I'm going to be your guide and facilitator for CAT and other management exams. In today's session, I'm going to talk about some words associated with Diwali and festival. We celebrated India's biggest festival, Diwali, but the mood and the feeling of festivity still lingers on. I thought of taking up words associated with this festival as well as with religion so that you learn something as well as you remain in the mood of festivity. Alright, so let's start with today's session, vocabulary with religion and festivals. But before that, let me give you a brief introduction of myself. My name is Neelam Malkani. I possess around 12 years of experience of test preparation industry and I have trained students of CAT, GREG, Science and TOEFL. My areas of expertise have been English and verbal reasoning. I've also set and designed assessment papers of English and reasoning for various governing bodies as well as professional bodies of the states. For a brief period of time, I served as an examiner for an international organization. Very recently, I have authored a comprehensive book of English based on the curriculum of competitive exams. The book is written in both Hindi and English and is available on Amazon. The video is brought to you by Unacademy. Let me take you to its portal and tell you how you can be part of this. You have to download the Unacademy Learning app from Play Store and fill in all the details. You will be shown 3 categories, thus 3 courses and special classes. If you want to attend classes for CAT, you have to go in the category of class. You go in the subscription, you will be shown all the features that you will be availing once you subscribe to this course. Features such as 30 hours of live session every day. So as per your choice, as per your availability, and as per your convenience, you can choose the time of your session. The sessions are delivered by top 14 educators of India. Those educators who have extensive experience of mentoring and guiding students in their respective fields and subjects. The courses which are delivered by these top educators are well structured, well designed, keep fine balance between concept, exercise and test. These courses are designed by those people who have experience of designing module and curriculum. Every month you get to see a new course being launched on Unacademy. All these features you can avail with single subscription. When you go forward, you will be shown all the models of subscription to suit your plan for the preparation of this exam. So if you are preparing for CAT 2020, you can go for 1 month. If you are preparing for CAT 2021, you can go for 1 year subscription. Prices are very pocket friendly and best in the industry. Whichever model of subscription you choose, if you want to avail for the 10% discount, you have to type code NEELAM. Now let's start with the words associated with Diwali and festivals. So the first word that I have picked up to celebrate Diwali or to start talking about the celebration of Diwali is commemorate. So to commemorate is to remind people of an important event or person from the past. So we celebrate Diwali, commemorate the homecoming, the royal homecoming, Lord Rama. When Lord Rama came back to Ayodhya, he returned to Ayodhya after the exile of 40 years and after killing the demon king Ravana. All the people welcomed him. And to commemorate his homecoming, we celebrate festival. Right? So to commemorate is to remind people of an important event. Right? So commemorate is a word which is associated with Diwali, but since you need to have a broader understanding of the word, right? So in a context how the word is used, let's try to understand sentence. Let's try to read some sentence, and with that, let's try to understand the different contexts of this word. So here, A series of movies will be shown to commemorate the 13th anniversary of his death. So his death, an event which is reminded to people by showing the movie, right? People remember how he died, when he died, what all things he did all his life. So as a tribute, the movies are being shown to commemorate his death. We celebrate different days to commemorate those events, right? We celebrate Martyr Day, we celebrate Army Day, we celebrate Independence Day to commemorate independence of India. A specific event which took place years ago, we commemorate those events, those memories by celebrating that day, right? To commemorate is to remind people of something by celebrating that event or to celebrate that incident. A plaque commemorates the battle, right? Here, a battle which was fought, there is a plaque, possibly a battle or a stone which commemorates the people who fought that battle or the year the battle was. That way, anything can be a mark of commemoration, right? To commemorate something, that means you celebrate that way, that day, or that festival to remind people of the importance or the significance of that. So, Diwali is celebrated to commemorate the homecoming of Lord Rama, Sita, and Hanuman and Ram, right? So, that way, the first word is commemorate. Incarnation. Now, we have done words through etymology, this words through root. So, Khan is used for flesh, it's used for physical body, right? So, carnal is having physical structure, right? Carnival, when you get to see a lot of people in body and flesh, carnival. So, Khan is with incarnate, right? So incarnation or incarnate. So Lord Rama is believed to be the incarnation of Lord Vishnu, who is the seventh incarnation of Lord Vishnu. Right? So to honor Rama Chandra, the seventh avatar, the seventh incarnation of God Vishnu. We have this philosophy of 10 incarnation of Lord Vishnu. So he was considered the seventh incarnation of Lord Vishnu, right? So incarnation. So one, to come in a physical form, to come in tangible form. So that is incarnation. So a period of life in a particular form, one of the incarnation of Vishnu. He believed that he had been a prince in a previous incarnation. Here, different context, the sentence is using word incarnation. He believes he was a prince in a previous incarnation. So earlier, when he came into physical form, when he came into human form on the earth, he was a prince in previous incarnation. That is in previous birth. Figuratively, the word is used for the earlier role or the earlier designation you held in this organization or in a previous job. So I worked for her in her earlier incarnation as a lawyer. Here, in earlier organization or earlier, his profession was lawyer. I worked for that incarnation. That way, use this word figuratively, metaphorically, for having a different designation or having a different post. In a previous incarnation, he was for 9 years a finance company manager, right? Here, you can understand this figurative meaning of the word being applicable. His previous incarnation, now he holds different designation, now he has different profile. In earlier incarnation, he was a manager, right? So, previous incarnation as an Aussie explorer. One more meaning, another meaning of this word. Person who represents a particular quality, for example, in human form. So when you use embody, you can use incarnation, right? So in incarnation of the incarnation of evil. So evil, an abstract notion, evil, an abstract quality. gets physical form in a person, you call that person evil incarnate. Bhavana, evil incarnate, right? So that way, evil incarnation can be used for embodiment. So instead of using embodiment, you can use incarnation. But the connotation is different. Embody will be used for positive characteristic. Incarnation will be used for negative characteristic. When you see these CEOs who get skyrocketing salaries, so they are greed incarnation, right? So the appetite is never fulfilled, right? So, however huge amount of salary they earn, it never satiates their greed. So that way you can call them greed incarnation. Greed, an abstract form, is incarnated in the form of these CEOs, right? So evil incarnation, greed incarnation, violence incarnation, but embodiment has positive connotation, right? So when you see somebody extremely humble, compassionate, let's talk about the Teresa. So embodiment, she is an embodiment of compassion. She is an embodiment of altruistic spirit, right? He thinks about others. So here embodiment has a positive connotation, incarnation has a negative one. Alright? So that way incarnation can be used in two ways. One, coming into physical form, especially Lord Vishnu has 10 incarnation. Second, in your previous role, when you use incarnation in figuratively, in a figurative sense, it means in a previous role, in a previous designation. Incarnation, another meaning of incarnation is embodiment. All these are in negatively. Alright? So here, Lord Rama as the seventh incarnation of Lord Vishnu. Triumphant. So we all know the story behind Dashera. Right? So we celebrate Dashera because it is commemorated as the day of the triumph of truth over falsehood, right? Or good over evil, right? So that way, triumphant is victory. Dashera is celebrated to commemorate the triumph of Lord Rama, even King Ravana, right? So triumphant will be noun, triumph will be adjective. Very successful in a way that causes great pleasure. So it actually caused a lot of pleasure because all the forces were with Lord Rama in this battle. They emerged triumphant in the September election, right? One election which is very prominently discussed across all the panels, across all the media platforms. So that is American presidential election. India back here, one more election whose result has just been announced yesterday. That was Bihar Assembly poll. So one party has come as triumphant, right? So one party has secured majority in the election. There, one candidate, Joe Biden, has come as triumphant, right? So triumphant or triumph, both will be used for victory, showing great pleasure or joy about a victory or success. Triumphant smile. You see a smile which shows someone's achievement, accomplishment, that is triumphant smile. Because those people smile because they have achieved something, have successfully done something. There was a positively triumphant note in her voice. Speaking, there was something which noted that he succeeded in doing something. Alright? So a triumphant smile is adjective, triumph will be noun. Right? So here triumphant. You see this picture clearly depicting that Lord Rama, is killing even King Ravana. Now, allegory is another word which can be associated with Dashera, the festival of Dashera. So we symbolize Ravana as evil and we symbolize Lord Rama as symbol of all virtues. So he is the symbol of vices, he is the symbol of virtues. So it was a victory of virtue over vices. It was a victory of truth over falsehood, right? So that way, he represented certain characteristic, Lord Rama represented different characteristics. So whenever you speak in a symbolic way, that is in the form of allegory, right? So a story, a picture in which each character or event is a symbol. So that is also allegory, right? So representing an idea or quality such as truth, evil, death, the use of such symbols, they are expressed in an allegorical way. So apples represent people in this allegorical contest between wilderness and a civilization. So here you can understand this word with apple as a representation of some quality and another thing as a representation of some other quality. So they are symbolical, right? They are not actually represented as apple, as a fruit, but they are actually representing certain other qualities. I hope all of you have heard about Panchatantra. So famous folklore, which is narrated in India, is based on allegorical symbols. So fox is the symbol of cunningness, and tiger is the symbol of majesty or ferociousness. So all these different characteristics are represented by different animals. Like this tortoise is the symbol of slow and steady, right? So instead of talking about these virtues, the author Vishnu Sharma has taken up the example of these animals to represent those symbols, those virtues. So that is also written in an allegorical way. Santa Claus is an allegory that illustrates how one person can change the world by giving. He is an example, or he is a symbol, right? So he's a symbol that how he can bring smile on others' faces, right? Or how somebody can bring smile on other faces. So the novel Animal Farm is basically an allegory in which animals represent human associated with corporate greed, right? So here in that novel, it's a very iconic novel, which represents animals, and with that animal farm setting or plot or the platform, the author represents how humans behave in corporate world and in that society. So Animal Farm is just an allegory here. It's just a symbol, right? Animal Farm is actually representing human society, and animals are representing people, right? So that is also written in an allegory way. So here, Dashera is again narrated in an allegorical way. Ram represents certain virtues and integrity, truth, and honesty, whereas Ravana represents all the vices which he fought against and had triumphed. Right? So he lived in exile for 14 years. So he was sent to exile, he lived in exile, and after 14 years exile, he returned to Ayodhya. And to commemorate his return, we celebrate Diwali, exile. So when somebody is sent to exile, so as a punishment or as a political reason, for a political reason, the person is sent away from his place to live in another place, right? So he was sent to exile because his mother, stepmother Kekai, believed that her son, Kekai's son, should be the successor of the throne of King Dasharatha. That's why she believed Lord Rama and Lakshman should be sent away forest so that Bharat can become the king. So this was the reason, this was the whole reason which led to his exile from Ayodhya. So exile is to send somebody away from his place, from his native place, from his residential place, to live somewhere else as a mark of punishment. So the state of being sent to live in another country that is not your own, especially for political reason or as a punishment. You see, a lot of politicians are sent to exile, or they live in self-imposed exile in another country because they face some kind of backlash in their own country. They are not accepted wholeheartedly by the people of their own country, so they live in other countries. So they live in exile. There's an author from Bangladesh, Taslima Nasreen. She is not regarded and respected there. She has been living in India in exile. So that is self-imposed exile. So she has not been able to live in her own country and she has been living in exile. Salman Rushdie has also been living in exile in London. Or Nawaz Sharif, when he was forced to leave his own country, Pakistan, by Pervez Musharraf, he was sent to exile. He was living in exile. So, for all these political reasons or other reasons, people are sent to other places or people are forced to go to other places to live peacefully. So, that way, exile can be used in this context. A place of exile, he returned after 40 years of exile. He was living away from his place, away from his home for 40 years, and finally he returned. In exile, he has lived in exile since 1989. The whole family went into exile, right? To be forced or to send into exile. So exile is usually motivated by political reasons or religious reasons or forcibly by law in order to punish someone, right? So living in exile. So ostracize could be another word. When you ostracize someone, you also sideline that person. Do not integrate that person in the main group, right? So when a person is ostracized, that person is excommunicated. That means he is sent away from the community. He is not integrated. He is not aligned with the group of other people, right? So ostracize and excommunicate could be synonymous with exile, but exile specifically is used for this kind of situation, right? You ostracize anyone. So if there is a person who is very prankster in your class, who is extremely nasty and does certain things which are unacceptable, so you stop, all people of your group stop talking to that person or having any kind of social contract with that person, or a person is isolated from your group. So that person is ostracized because of his antisocial behavior, right? So that way, ostracized and excommunicated. So when there is a person who is extremely honest, all the people are dishonest, right? So let's talk about a government office where almost all the people are easily bribed, right? So they tend to take bribe because they are not satisfied with what they are earning. So they are corrupt, they take bribe. But there is a person who is extremely righteous and honest. So that person will be excommunicated from the group of those people who are taking bribe, right? So that way also you excommunicate a person who does not share your characteristic, who does not share traits, right? So there is a commonality which is binding you all together, but there's a one person who stands as an exception and hence is excommunicate, exile, ostracize. In a way, similar words, but in this situation, it is exile. He was sent to exile for 14 years. Now, Diwali is the festival of opulence. So when we wish each other Happy Diwali, Happy Prosperous Diwali, that means we are wishing other people to have prosperity in their life, wish other people to have enough wealth, enough resources, enough money to survive well or to live well. So the prosperity can be understood as opulence, right? So we buy gold the occasion of Diwali or the occasion of Dhanteras because that is considered auspicious. So it's a festival of opulence. Buy new clothes, we buy all decorative items, and we buy everything to show that what we have, how much we have, and how much we can attract more, right? So that is how this is the festival of opulence. So opulence is nothing but great wealth, right? So yeah, so opulence and opulent. Opulence will be noun, opulent will be adjective. So a display of great wealth. So at the time of Diwali, when we invite our guests to our home for dinner or for enjoying the festivities, we showcase our opulence. So whatever best we have in terms of our clothes, in terms of decorative items, in terms of food items, everything that we can offer them, we display them. So that way we try to show our opulence to them. The opulence of ancient Rome, so extreme wealth. So prosperity, opulence, both means wealth or affluence. Life of opulence, right? So we wish each other a life of opulence in the occasion of Diwali. We want others to enjoy life as we do. So we share our privileges or our benefits or the kind of things we have or the kind of things we enjoy. We try to share those with those people who don't have enough or who are underprivileged, because we want them also to enjoy these things. So we share our opulence with them, right? So opulence is nothing but prosperity. So instead of prosperity, start replacing that word with this. Prosperity, you all know, opulence is something that you need to learn. Folklore is another word which I have taken up. So a lot of stories surround the celebration of Diwali. Of course, one story that we heard about the returning of Lord Rama to Ayodhya. Another story is there which talks about Lord Krishna's victory over Narakasur, right? Another story is in down south, which talks about different things. It's the birth of Lord Goddess Lakshmi, and that's why Diwali is celebrated. There are different stories. There are different mythical stories which surround the celebration of Diwali. Of course, one story is the overarching story which we all know, but there are other shades of stories as well, which are associated with different parts of India. In down south, there is a different story. If you go in east of India, there is a different reason to celebrate Diwali. Right? Of course, there is a one binding factor that it is celebrated as the festival of lights. So folklore is the tradition and stories of a country or community. Different stories, different narratives which are given, which are forwarded to people as a reason of celebrating this festival. So that is folklore. Irish or Indian folklore. So India is such a diverse country. So you would see that different sect of people would have different reasons. Tribes of India do celebrate Diwali, but their reason to celebrate Diwali is entirely different from that of we celebrate Diwali, right? So they have a different folklore which is prevalent in their area. The story rapidly became part of the family folklore. So here, some stories which surround or which are the part of a family's pedigree. So those folklore which are associated that family, how that family came into this part and what those family members have been doing, certain things, some certain anecdotal incidents which happen in that story, in that family. So that is family folklore. Local folklore has it that prehistoric men drove cattle over these cliffs, right? So in that part, the story which is famous, the victory became part of sporting folklore, right? So kisse kahaniyan, a character in American folklore. So Robin Hood is a character in American folklore. So that's not a verifiable character. Nobody has seen who Robin Hood was and where he actually lived. It's in the folklore, right? So a lot of characters, a lot of stories, a lot of anecdotal things come into folklore and they are passed on generation to generation as a tradition, and they get in a way kind entrenched in people's memory and people start believing as if they really existed, right? Folklore is something which is based on the story, the tradition and the stories of community or a country. A lot of folklore behind the celebration of. Okay, as the picture itself suggests, it's illumination. So earthen diya or other kind of lights are there to illuminate the place. We illuminate our surrounding, we illuminate our home, we illuminate the part where we offer our prayers, right? Our small part, puja ghar, which we have everyone's home, we illuminate that place. Different decorative items, diyas, and with those lights. Alright? So illuminate is to light up, is to shine light on something. That is what is illuminate. So the earth is illuminated by the sun, right? So it's the source of energy, it's the source of light for earth. The sun is the source of illumination for to make something clearer or easier to understand. That also means illuminate, right? So that is also another meaning of illumination. So when you say that I have been illuminated by his thoughts, that means my thoughts or I have gained a lot of insight after listening to, after reading him. Right? So I have been illuminated. That means I have clearly understood what this thing is. So when you hear TED Talks or when you listen to TED Talks and different speakers who very incisively talk about their insight on different issues, so they do nothing but illuminate your thought. Means they make your thought process clearer. To illuminate, another meaning is to make something clearer. Synonym for that meaning will be to clarify. This text illuminates the philosophers early, right? So it illuminates that, it sheds light on earlier philosophers' thinking, right? So illuminate is to clarify, illuminate is to light up things. We all light up our surrounding, our balconies, our home, our puja ghar, and everything is light up, is illuminated so that we can attract opulence, because to attract goddess Lakshmi. A devout is somebody who believes strongly in a particular religion and obeys all its rules. So all Hindu devotees, devout Hindu followers or Hinduism followers, they offer prayers, go to temple, they say their prayer to goddess Lakshmi. There are rituals, there are traditions which are followed to offer prayers to goddess Lakshmi. There are certain traditions which are followed by every family when they say their prayers to goddess Lakshmi. Right? So there are certain ways in which this puja is done. And these rituals are followed. So those people who are devotees or devout Hindu followers, they perform these pujas in a very strict way, in a way which is given in scriptures or which is suggested or recommended by of Hindu religion. So devout followers or devotees. So devout is the person who adheres to religious principles. Whichever religion he follows those principles adherently. A devout Christian, a devout Muslim, devout Buddhist, Christian, churchgoer. Most of my college professors and intellectual mentors were devout atheists. So here, the principle of atheism. Atheism is not believing in any God, not believing in any religious supreme power. So that is what is atheism. Here, they were devout atheists. So that means they were strong or staunch followers of atheism. This way also this word can. He was also very devout and his morals were irreproachable. Very religious, followed every rule of religion, and his morals, right, his morality was unquestionable. Irreproachable, that means it cannot be questioned. It was above suspicion. His morality or his conduct was above suspicion. His diary is therefore a valuable chronicle of contemporary events from the standpoint of a moderate politician and a devout adherent of the Church of England. Right? So, a devout adherent of Church. He followed the principles of Church staunchly. Right? So all devout Hindu followers, all devotees of Lord Rama are going to visit, right? Because this year is going to be all the more special because of this temple and the because of the different fervor which is there in Ayodhya this year. So all the devotees of Lord Rama will throng to Ayodhya, witness this illuminating Diwali there this night. Right? So devotees, devout. Congregation. Now, we congregate at our relatives' place, or usually those families who are living in nuclear families, they congregate at one big place, right? They congregate at a place which is usually of the head of their family. So congregate. Most of the people who are living in a disparate part of the country, at the time of Diwali, they come and they congregate. So they come together and congregate. So congregate is to come together, usually for a religious purpose. So here you see in the picture, you see a huge congregation in church. So church gathering. So congregation is a group of people who gather together in a church for a religious service, not including the priest. So priest is not included in the congregation. So though it's used usually for religious reasons, when people come together for this, but this word is not confined to this context only. Also be used in different contexts, right? So in Bhopal, you see a huge congregation of Siberian birds. Winter, you see a flock of Siberian birds coming to Bhopal, Russia. So because it's the place is at high altitude and it gets very chilly there, freezingly cold in harsh winters. So all of these birds migrate to Bhopal. There's a huge congregation of Siberian birds in Bhopal. So here, the word is not used in a religious context. Congregation of investors. Whenever there is an investor meet organized by chief minister or the prime minister of country, there's a congregation of investors at that place. So investors from different domain, different spheres, from different part of the country, different part of the world, different parts of the world come together to see the investing opportunity in that area. So congregation of investors in a place. Congregation can be anything where a huge group of people come together, right? But here, congregation of people who come and celebrate. We see congregation of devotees flocking to Ayodhya. Get the sentences. The minister led the congregation in a hymn. Right? The priest stood up to address the congregation. Global Muslim congregation in Bhopal deferred for first time due to COVID-19. So here, I'm again talking about Bhopal. So there is a place, there is a annual congregation of Muslim devotees happens every year in Bhopal. That's known as Istima, right? Because of COVID-19 and because as a precautionary measure, it was deferred. So that's also a huge congregation of Muslim devotees. Of course, this is for religious reason. For some religious rituals, they come and say their prayers together. So I hope congregation is clear. Okay, so let's end today's presentation with one more word associated with what we do at the time of Diwali. Burn crackers, right? So firecrackers are burnt at the time of Diwali. Though it was not the tradition which was started at the time of Lord Rama, because that time we did not have this barud and everything. It was later discovered, it was later found out. So that time it was celebrated with earthen lamps, right? So all the nook and corner of Ayodhya were illuminated. Nook and corner of India were illuminated so as to welcome welcome Lord Rama. So that was the original part of the tradition. That was the original way celebrated. Eventually, it came to signify burning firecrackers, right? So firecrackers, you all know, pyrotechnics is something which we all witness when there is a grand spectacle. So when you see the effigies of Ravana, effigies of Kumbhakarna and Vibhishan being burnt in a big ground organized by a big group in your locality. So you see pyrotechnics, right? So flaring up of these crackers and certain pyro shows are also organized. So pyre comes from fire, right? So funeral pyre, I hope all of you are saying pyre, funeral pyre, right? So chita is funeral pyre. So pyre comes from fire. So with that only pyrotechniques are those techniques which are associated with firecrackers, right? So pyrotechniques. Here, display of fireworks or display of these crackers is pyrotechnics. We all express our joy, we all express our festive spirit through burning these crackers, right? Alright, so that's how I come to today's session. In today's session or today's vocabulary building class, the word we started with was commemorate. So commemorate is to remind people of an important event or person by celebrating that thing. So we commemorate Mahatma Gandhi on 2nd October, right? So we celebrate 2nd October as non-violence day because we want to commemorate his principles. We want to commemorate his his, um, his ideology that he lived all his life, right? So to commemorate his values, ideology, we celebrate 2nd October as non, right? So to commemorate his martyrdom as well as his values. So commemorate is to remember. Incarnation and embody. I hope the distinction is clear. Embody is used in a positive way, incarnation in a negative. The second usage of incarnation is when we talk about coming into physical form, right? An abstract notion is, it comes in a tangible form, it comes in a palpable form, physical form, that is incarnation. Figuratively, this word is used for having another designation or having another role in your previous organization or in your previous job. Right? So that is also incarnation. And of course, very common use. Lord Rama was the seventh incarnation of Lord Vishnu. Triumphant is victory, success, right? So triumph, now triumphant itching. So you see somebody having a triumphant smile, that means person is glorious. The person is smiling because he has won something. He has accomplished something. Allegory is to tell a story in a form of symbols, right? So in a form of symbols, here Ravana is the symbol of evil. Ram is the symbol of virtue, right? So in a form of symbol, when you tell a story, it's an allegory. He was sent to exile for 14 years. So he was sent as a punishment to a place away from his home, away from his state. He was sent to exile. So exile is as a punishment or as a political reason. I gave you enough example to illustrate what this word actually means. I also gave you some synonyms like ostracize, banish someone is also another word. So banish, ostracize, excommunicate. All words come when you send somebody away as a mark of punishment. Opulence is affluence. Opulence is prosperity. This celebration, this festival marks the affluence, right? So affluence, usually, which is associated with money and wealth. Opulence is also that extreme sense of wealth. That is opulence. Folklore are different traditions and stories which are common in a country or a community. So different folklore which are prevalent in India about the celebration. Down south you have different folklore. Even in south only you will see that there is a different story which is prevalent in Kerala, and there is a different reason there in Andhra Pradesh for celebrating Diwali. So folklore, different folklore in different traditions, in different tribes. Illuminate is to light up something, right? Irradiate something, or something which is luminous because of lighting. So that is illuminate. So this festival is characterized by lights, right? So that is the whole idea of celebrating this festival on Amavasya, right? So this is celebrated because there is extreme darkness and we light up, right? So that means that light is going to kill darkness. So that's also in a symbolic way, that's a victory of light over darkness. That's a victory of knowledge over ignorance, right? So that way you understand illuminate is nothing but light. Second meaning of illuminate is to clarify something. Devout is the follower, right? So devout is strongly following the religious principle. Devotee is that person who is follower. Congregation is coming together in a huge number, especially for a religious reason, but I gave you other sentences in which the religious context was not used, it was used in a different context for huge gathering. Pyrotechnics, those fire techniques which we see in the sky when the firecrackers are burnt, right? So firecrackers, you know, all these words you know, pyrotechnic, fire comes for fire. Alright? So thank you very much for watching this video, and I hope I could help you with some of these words. I'm sure some of these words you were already aware of, but their shades of difference, their different meaning, or possibly their usage was not clear. So with this session, you might have been illuminated with those usage and build up on this session and learn more words associated with festivals and Diwali, right? Do tell me what your thoughts and opinion are about this session, and do tell me what topics you want me to cover in, right? Thank you very much. Happy Diwali again.